think that's AI's biggest misstep, was to present itself as it did, I would say, 2 or 3 years ago when it first started to become mainstream and productized, and the AI letters were starting to be used. Incredible that we've broken our 3-letter acronym and got it down to 2. So that's an evolution in itself. But the promise that it started out with, which was we can dramatically cut costs and deliver equivalent or better results. I don't know why that happened, but it did. And it set off a really unfortunate chain of events of lack of delivery. I think we've now, as an industry and as a customer base and as suppliers, matured into realizing this is another tool. I agree that lumping it into automation is somewhat of a fit. It's the closest bucket we've got.
Right.
Right. This is next generation automation, I would suggest. And I think that once you look at, okay, if we're using automation to more consistently, more cost effectively deal with repetitive tasks, lower value for humans to do, what do we do with what we gain? And most things in hindsight, when we misstep, are obvious that we misstepped, but in the moment they weren't. So we were excited about, let's have a technology that potentially reduces costs. What were we going to do with those savings? Maybe a slightly more profitable organization. And what we've seen and what we try to coach clients into is, let's use the savings that we can generate and do something meaningful with it.
Yeah.
So that's really where the opportunity lies. And there's this concept that we share about the experience chasm. It sounds really dramatic. Chasm. But it is. And if you define that as the difference between what an end customer, somebody who interacts with these brands, expects and wants, and you could argue deserves, versus what they actually experience on a day-to-day basis, the difference between those two is the chasm. So what we're trying to do is use a couple of different mechanisms to generate enough savings to be able to go address that chasm. And from a business perspective, this is another observation so we're deeply into this market. We're looking at the trends. Right. We're looking at, okay, well, what does this mean? CX folks are really good at KPIs and performance and optimizing things and delivering results to the clients. Where we see an opportunity for us to assist is in articulating that value back to the business for people who are not as CX savvy. And if you look at how businesses have evolved, the products and services offered are less differentiated now. In this modern world that we've got, everybody has access to a lot of very similar things.
Right.
So we're in this really interesting time where most things that we can acquire for a business or personally are good. They're good to great.
Right.
But then as a brand, how do you differentiate yourself? Which informs the theory of it's now about the experience. It's not about the product or service as much. And I've seen this hanging out with Simplicity this week. Like, you do what a lot of other companies do, but you do it differently. Me
too.
Right? There's and you've latched onto this same thing, that it's that experience that is meaningfully different, that human connection.
Yep.
We're trying to take that same principle and help brands see that that is their future.
Yeah.
And their market share, their revenues are going to be related to how well they took this opportunity and differentiated their experience.
I like to think we do it with pizzazz.
Everybody having their own style and flair is absolutely encouraged in our world, because that's how you find the customer base that relates to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about value. So let's talk a little bit about why outsourcing and advisory services are more critical as companies face this, talent shortages, rising costs, rapid digital transformation. There's so many elements coming at us. So let's talk about that.
It's a time of opportunity and a time of, we've observed, I think we're through the confusion phase. I would say if we had this conversation a year ago, confusion would be the key topic. Now it's like, I've got some level of clarity of how I want to proceed, but the tactical execution of proceeding becomes the challenge.